And we're back. Modern Mondays, Guardian Games, round 3. This round, we have Quentin here on Izzet Phoenix against Matt on Jund. So a little bit more of a metagame match, some more familiar decks, though Jund builds seem to vary a lot. So we'll see what's going on Matt's side.
Matt's got the nice like full sleeve tat, which is like definitely a Jund player
I
thing.
love it.
I only get to judge people based on like what their arms look like from in the booth. So I have to just be able to tell from above what deck they're going to be on.
Yeah.
And Matt's vibe is very Jund.
I like it. So, okay, people are really into the music. Can you talk a little bit about the music? There's a request if it's on any streaming services.
It's not. So actually, a friend of mine, and excuse me. So I actually recorded that song with a friend of mine. So it is unfortunately not on any streaming service. You have to tune in to our stream to hear it.
Tune in every week.
It's on, it'll be in the Twitch archives if you want to listen to it there. But yeah, my friend and I came up with that song. He is the creative genius. But if you listen closely, my voice is one of the voices layered into the chorus.
All right. Do we have... No. We're going to have to dig for a better hand here.
So I believe this is Matt's second mulligan. It gets a little harder to tell now that we're in London mulligan mode. I've been using a die on my playmat to represent number of mulligans.
Yeah, I saw that, and I think that's a really smart thing to do, especially if both players are mulliganing and you're waiting for the opponent to make a decision.
It can be really easy to get to thinking about kind of your own hand or other things going on and kind of forget which mulligan you are when you're drawing 7 every time.
Yep. You sing like an angel, Ian.
Oh, that's so nice of you. I don't think I've ever gotten that nice of a compliment.
Thank you, chat.
Yeah, thanks, chat.
Yes, we have a mulligan to 5. Those two go back. It's just so much better. So many fewer non-games.
It's true. And a mulligan to 5 is still painful, but...
Oh, yeah, for Jund?
Yeah, but at least you have a chance, maybe.
Yeah. Island. Serum Visions.
Resolves.
Begin the wheel spin.
But if this looks anything like the matches that I played against Quentin earlier today where I mulliganed to 5, we may be on to game 2 shortly.
Yikes. Yeah, Jund with the lining up the 1-for-1 answers into eventual value does not want to start down cards.
No. Yeah, it's not a good place to be. You're not, because, yeah, you're lining up 1-for-1 and you're also hoping that the right half of your deck appears to you.
Seems challenging.
Yeah, sometimes the Jund giveth and sometimes it taketh away.
A devotee of the altar of Jund.
Yeah, I like to just try and channel my inner Jadian Clomparens every time I play Jund.
There is no better Jund idol.
It's true.
As far as I could,
She
as far
is
as I
the
know.
Queen of the Gender Dome.
All right. Fetching for Stomping Grounds, end of turn. Matt gonna make another land drop here, and it is...
Tarmogoyf.
Filter land into a Tarmogoyf. Dun, 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 dun.
It'll
Spicy 2-3.
2-3. But bolt proof of note.
Oh yeah.
That's an interaction that I don't think I would have ever understood without somebody telling me how it works.
Yeah, it's a little subtle, and I've also seen people get wrecked on it, so... Here's Thing in the Ice. He does blocks.
So does Matt have a Fatal Push or a Renin 6 paired with a Lightning Bolt? Which is another answer to Thing. In either case, he is going to have to deal with the Thing.
There's a Blackleaf Cliffs. We've got
Trophy the thing.
Trophy, which is not really what you want. Giving Phoenix more lands tends to be difficult, but any port in a storm here.
No, yeah, it's Trophy never really feels great, but it's kind of a. I mean, I think it's a worthwhile catch-all answer, but it's one of those cards that every time I look at the deck, I am like,
Yeah.
should this be Maelstrom Pulse? Like, should this be something else? But it's just so versatile that it can be a good card against Tron because it can hit lands.
I mean, I'm always looking for an excuse to play Abrupt Decay, and it's really hard to justify it. Like, it depends on the meta, but I'm always looking for an excuse to play Abrupt Decay over Trophy, and I rarely find it.
Yeah.
Scrying. I see a Faithless Looting in there. Both gone. Are we digging for threats, perhaps? In Legacy, it's correct to do Decay, but that's about it. Decay does have uses in Modern, depending on what you're targeting with it. If you're specifically fearing things like Chalice, it can have utility, but for the most part, yeah, it's somewhat hard to justify Decay.
In this particular matchup, I would pretty much take Decay at any point. It gets rid of any relevant permanent besides Phoenix itself, and I'm fine with that being the downside.
Yeah. You're right that it is matchup dependent. I think I'm used to coming from a Metamorphose blue-red, from Phoenix player, Metamorphose blue-red. If only we could find some Phoenixes, they would be so recurred. I do see Phoenix and I do see Faithless Looting, so I think we're going to get there.
At least one.
Can we find another one? No.
I think Quentin probably really hoping for 2 to threaten the double block on the Goyf.
Yeah, we have Magmatic Sinkhole, though, which will remove the Tarmogoyf. And that'll allow a little pressure from Phoenix, not on blocking duty.
And the Goyf does die at a 4/5. So Quentin could have potentially shrunk it, depending on what he exiled in his graveyard.
More fun Tarmogoyf tricks.
Yeah.
You have them all.
So Matt obviously looking for some pressure here.
Yeah, he's got one card in hand. Even a 3/2. Pretty threatening. Though he saw definitely Quentin play out a lot more spells than he needed to recur the Phoenix, so he has a little bit of a read that Quentin has used a lot of his gas to get where he's gotten.
Yeah, Matt really needs a card that will help him re-up on his hand here. Something like a Seasoned Pyromancer would be a great draw.
Ooh, yeah.
I believe he has a Fatal Push in hand, and I imagine that that's going to go at the Phoenix after this fetch.
Just challenge Quentin to recur it again after all the cantripping he just did.
Yeah.
So it was, what, 2 Metamorphos, a Faithless Looting, and a Magmatic Sinkhole all in one turn?
Matt playing the Rebecca, is it Guay or Gay? How do you say her last name?
I'm not sure, actually. I've heard both, and I'm not sure which is correct. Chat, do you know?
Rebecca Guay promo lands from, I think, like Amonkhet Block Standard or something like that. That 4 is particularly beautiful.
I will make 2 black with Twilight Mire and 2 red.
Black, black, red, red.
And I will Fatal Push the Arclight.
Bye-bye, Arclight Phoenix.
And then I'll play Young Seasoned Pyromancer.
That's great. So this is on a Multi-5.
Whew.
Matt could not have asked for a better Multi-5 here.
Easy peasy. Getting the value back.
That's so good.
Gonna climb back out. Okay. So
I want to make all my Seasoned Pyromancers like Salt Bay custom art.
I don't know how to say this to you, chat. Finding out how to pronounce Rebecca Guay or Gay's last name by spelling it out. It's not,
I'm guessing
you've got the spelling definitely right. I will
spell it like really long phonetically. Give us like extremely long vowel sounds.
Help. All right, Quentin on a fetch for a basic.
I'm actually a linguistics major, so if you use the International Phonetic Alphabet, I might be able to read it.
I won't. But
yes, we are in Portland, Oregon.
Yes, this is Portland, Oregon. Guardian games, notably modern on Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Usually quite a big turnout. I've seen over 70 people for F&M here, modern F&M, alongside draft and standard F&M.
There are good turnouts.
I believe you can play modern any day of the week in Portland, except Tuesdays now that Time Vault is no longer here. But any day of the week, sometimes twice. A lot of cantripping. Bullet your season, Pyromancer.
And the
Recur
Phoenix
the
is
Phoenix.
back.
Hit your face.
Tough to keep this Izzet Phoenix deck down.
Yep.
Looks
It
like
is.
Matt has at least one bolt in hand. Season Pyromancer was a good start, but Matt really needs to start grinding out some serious advantage.
Thought sees you. Go into 10. Oh, it's frightening.
Oh, Sherwood. Tuesdays at Glimpses. So I guess you can play every day.
Every day.
Oof, that's a rough path. Okay, so Matt just sitting on 2 bolts in hand.
Okay. Yeah,
it's gonna be tough.
Left Quentin with a Faithless sitting in a bolt. Took Finale, which is just auto recur Phoenix. So I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
A bird.
A bird. Dumb birds.
Bolt
in your
on
face.
both. Oh no, he can only bolt 1.
Shot down. Go to 7. Rebecca.
Gouai.
We also have the Y is like an I. I think those are alternating. Are those different answers?
I don't know. Oh. Well, Matt has found more lands, and none of them are creature lands.
These lands are not what's needed.
Not what you want.
Oh, that's a Finale for Quentin. That's a little frightening.
Jund can have a flood problem.
Clearly. How does Renin 6 change that in
Well,
the deck?
in my build, I play 20 lands, which is 3 or 4 less than what most people are playing.
Whoa. Sorry, I play a lot of artifact decks. I'm like, 20 lands, that's a lot of lands.
Oh. Yeah, well, most Jund decks play like 24 lands, which is insane, I think. So 20 lands is still, I agree with you, like a solid number of lands. But you play a lot of fetches, so I play 10 fetches in my build. And 4 Renin 6, and I'm really leaning on that angle. And then I also play 4 cycling lands, Forgotten Caves, Sheltered Thicket, and then one of the new Horizon lands that helps to keep Ren giving you value.
So I believe that was a Lava Dart U, attack with 2 Phoenixes, 1 eats a bolt, taking Matt down to 3. And that is it. Drowned in the flood.
This matchup is kind of sweet.
Yeah, it's really mid-rangey.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's really tough to win on a mul to 5
You think of a Phoenix
when you're playing Jund,
cards, but then it's
unless your opponent stumbles pretty hard. Because Matt had a very solid draw on a mul to 5. He had some answers, he had some interaction, and he was able to re-up with Season Pyromancer, and it just was not quite enough. The build of Jund that I play as well is also playing more main deck Nile Spellbombs and Traverses, which Traverse is one of those cards that can get you a land if you need it, and then later in the game can get you a creature.
Yeah, and Traverse, especially if you're playing fewer lands, Traverse sort of functions like extra lands in the same way that, when you're playing artifact decks and you're jamming 4 Ancient Stirrings, they can be lands when you need them to be lands. And especially when, with the Renin 6 package, it almost is a little bit similar, not quite the same, but like artifact decks with a lot of utility lands. So you don't mind picking up an extra mana, and you're not trading a impactful card for a mana. You're just picking up something that's going to be great and also give you what you need in the moment.
So I personally am partial to cutting on lands in Jund, but nobody else has picked up on it really in the competitive scene. So maybe I'm
You're ahead of
completely
everything.
off base.
You're ahead. It is It is the metagame who is wrong.
Chat's still
We're
trying to
still
figure out
on
how
how
to.
to pronounce the artist of Bitter Blossom's name. OG. Like
wait.
the Spanish word.
Like K? Like, are they
Ah,
comparing like
gay?
K to
That would make
Guay?
sense. Is that what
K?
we're hearing
Guay?
here? Rebecca Gay?
Gay? K? Gay? Oh, yeah.
Nick, did you win? Who'd you play against? Who'd you play against?
All right.
I'm
Matt.
literally Googling this right now to see if anyone else has asked this question. We can't be the first. Pronounced gay. That is the answer.
All right.
Mystery solved.
Sweet.
Rebecca Gay. I've only been saying it wrong
Did I tell you what I
like half my life.
Me too.
I feel a little bad now. Could have Googled that a long time ago.
Well, we learned something tonight. Chat probably knew all along, even though they couldn't express themselves phonetically.
They were restrained by the medium
That's
through
true.
which we communicate.
They weren't allowed to use like umlauts or, any of those wingding characters.
I would.
Who is saying it right? I don't know.
We don't know. We can't hear you talk.
This is the joke that just keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Sure, but they only have eight or 10 creatures.
All right. So
Like,
Chats
a lot
in
of the hands they
silence.
keep are like one creature and like.
chat's over it. Okay, back to the match. So
Yeah. See if we can get perhaps some not crippling mulligans.
I think on Matt's side,
Play.
he's hoping to hit something like a Nile Spellbomb. It's really great to have like a single Nile Spellbomb in this matchup, or being able to get out a Scavenging Ooze is also quite nice.
Yes.
You're generally hoping for kind of the typical spread of Jund cards. One nice thing about Jund in this matchup is most of your cards are live, as you are looking for a mix of hand disruption and creature removal, and both of those things are situationally good against this Phoenix deck.
So yeah, in general, I feel like Jund is a bit more of a bad game one deck due to the diversity of interaction that it has. But actually, interestingly enough, in this matchup, its game one is better normally than it is against some other decks that might, brick the removal or be resilient to hand hate.
Right, there's not a ton of just straight up dead cards that you're really happy to get rid of, which does make sideboarding a little bit more interesting on the Jund side. It can be kind of a relief when you have those matchups where you go to sideboard and you're just like, okay, this card's terrible, that card's terrible, and you just know your deck is straight up upgraded. But Phoenix attacks on a lot of different angles. I think the main thing that you need to be aware of on the Jund side is do not waste your Abrupt Decays or Assassin's Trophies on things that are not Aria Flame unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah. Aria Flame will get you real fast.
And it's great against your Walker plan as well as your life total. So
Speaking of Aria Flame, I believe that was the draw from Quentin. We had
that's
Tarn.
an OG foil Blood Crypt, huh? Oh,
yes it is.
17, he said.
jelly.
So we have a fetch land, Quentin fetching into turn, getting a Steam Vents.
Slightly different.
Are we going to see a Thought Scour? Looks like Steam Vents is coming in up.
Bolt my face.
Thought Scour, target me.
Yeah, just a little
Lightning
bit.
Bolt, thing in the ice. Not what you want. Draw a card. Untap, draw a card.
Matt noting that it's pretty aggressive. Yeah, Quentin willing to take 3.
Yeah.
So felt like he didn't want to fetch a basic there.
That's an interesting choice. Yeah, generally I think Phoenix can fetch basics fairly aggressively. They have 4 mana Morphos. Unless he's just got a fistful of them, I think that you're fairly safe fetching basics.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I probably would have. But, Quentin knows the deck. He's been playing it for a bit and maybe felt like he really wanted access to either 2 red or 2 blue.
Yeah, I can't quite see what is in his hand, but I see he has a Metamorphose, so.
Yeah, it looked like another fetch, a basic island.
Aria. I think that's 2
Aria
Metamorphose.
Metamorphose, yeah. It's a solid hand, especially Matt has not shown that he has any hand disruption so far.
Yeah.
And
You have to.
go ahead.
Oh, you have to guess he has a bunch of interaction by the just land go that he's been playing.
But Matt is sitting with an Abrupt Decay in hand, which is, it feels really good to have the opponent slam an Aria and gain 10 life and then Abrupt Decay it. As the Phoenix deck is trying to kill you on the axis of your life total, and so it's not inconsequential to play Aria and have it die immediately.
Yes, absolutely. You know, Arya is so good in the Phoenix deck because of how quickly they can make that 10 life back up, and then how quickly from there you just die. But if you can just gain 10, oof. I mean, what, the second Arya gains you another 10? Or they're just trying to beat you up on the ground when you have a lot of removal in your deck and it becomes very difficult. Here's Arya. Gain 10.
So I wanted to see if Quentin would maybe sniff out that it's possible that Matt had kept a hand with answers.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
But this is going to feel really good on Matt's side.
Yeah. Quentin's tapped down. At best, he has a free spell and can get 1 damage off it, but this is just all he has. If he has a surgical, all he has is targets of fetch lands, and I don't even know if you keep surgical in this matchup.
Yeah, I don't think
I don't think you
Surgical's
do.
very good on the Phoenix side. I think it's worth bringing in a copy or maybe 2 on the Jund side, depending on what your kind of graveyard interaction package looks like.
So the 10 life is super irrelevant, is the comment from chat. I feel like it's much more relevant when the Arya doesn't stick.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant if the Arya sticks around. They make it up very quickly, but
But if they're trying to knock your life total down with, for example, Phoenix attacks like Quentin was last game, buying yourself 3 more turns from a Phoenix attacking you is the real deal.
Quentin looking a little flooded there. He gets 2 more land in his hand. Chandra, Torch of Defiance.
Generally a card that you see brought in the mirror in Jund. It does line up particularly well against Thing in the Ice before it's flipped.
Good point. Does work there. Take 2. We are threat light on Quentin's side. Notably, I think that can be a weakness of the Phoenix deck, is it just doesn't have unending sources of threats. And so if you can control the threats, they have a lot of wheel spin and not a lot of punch.
Yeah, they spend a lot of time digging, and if you can, as you said, take care of their payoffs as Matt has thus far. This is one of those decks that can feel completely busted when it gets a good draw, and when it's not hitting threats, you just wonder why, like, unless somebody really likes cantripping, you wonder why they're playing the deck.
Yeah. It looks like a lot of wheel spin when it doesn't work.
Bottom, okay.
Chat suggesting that this matchup is grindy enough that the 10 life still isn't relevant. Don't know if I can quite get behind that analysis, just because Jund has so much ability to answer the Phoenix threats, and then once it can stick a large Tarmogoyf or something like that, it'll put a clock down.
Yeah. So Quentin heads up play, bolts the Chandra to make sure that she cannot finish off his Thing in the Ice, as that is currently his only payoff. See what Matt flips off the top.
Inquisition of Kozilek.
Probably worth casting here. It is.
Yeah,
it is an IOK. Unless Matt is needing to Blood Braid or something else this turn where he uses all of his mana, I think it's worth it to
Absolutely.
IOK. You were correct that Quentin had 2 Metamorphose in hand.
The chat doesn't agree with the chat. We have dissent, confusion in the ranks, as it were. Lily Edict you. I love Liliana the Veil against Phoenix. Oh my goodness, I love Liliana the Veil against Phoenix.
I like it when they're on the Thing in the Ice plan.
Yup.
It looks rather sad at times when they are on the Aria Flame plan. But in this
Yes.
case, it looks very good.
Yes. Quentin looting Metamorphose. No birds.
Yep.
Red, blue. Metamorphose. Draw a card. Blue, cast Serum Visions. Draw a card.
Of note, Quentin has seen 0 Phoenixes this game,
Birdless birds.
and
Lightning Bolt and Island.
the deck is looking way worse without having seen any birds.
Cards moving between zones.
Yeah, yeah.
I do have 3 cards in hand.
Lots of picking up 1 to 2 cards, looking at them.
How do I feel about Lily against Phoenix? I love it a lot. They have a lot of draws where just edicting them is really powerful. And on the other hand, they're just also depending on a critical mass of spells. So if you can't edict them, just bleeding their hand can be very useful. I don't know about Enjund. I'm used to playing it in Ensnaring Bridge decks where you can just sit there and bleed them out. Possibly edicting to get yourself to survive long enough to bridge. But I really do like Liliana the Veil in this matchup. Quentin dumping 2 lands off of a Faithless Looting. No Phoenix is found, but he is heavily flooded. What's left in his hand is, I believe, a Ral. Is it Viceroy and a Lightning Bolt? It's a spicy meatball.
Yeah.
Lily down.
Yeah, and notably with the rules change, Chandra can no longer tick up to damage planeswalkers.
Oof.
So Rawl is free to do some damage on this board.
Yep. He's a real magic card. Take 2. Down to 10.
1 card in hand.
Oh, he's got another Lily. Oh.
I have the
Oh. Here it comes.
And we'll go up.
Yep.
Discard.
No. Yeah, that's it. I wouldn't want to be there either.
I think a smart choice by Quentin to not show the Rawl
Yeah.
Yes.
there.
Yes.
Better to concede than to even show what he would be discarding. It is not necessarily a common card to see out of these Izzet Phoenix decks, and might be able to have the gotcha moment with
Yeah.
Matt next game.
Especially if you see.
So any lands are just automatically a shot.
Yeah, okay, Matt noting you can't play lands off of Chandra, you can only cast cards. But I think you're completely right that there's tremendous advantage to be gained by not revealing a sideboard card that is not stock. Your opponent, if you reveal that, your opponent can easily go back to their board, dig up a better answer, and you're just giving that information away for free. And so clever of Quentin to keep that in the back pocket, potentially to pull it out next game.
So chat may come for me with their pitchforks. I have the unpopular opinion that Liliana is not very good in the meta right now. And I play 0 copies of Liliana in my Jund list. I play a more red-heavy version.
What are you
that
playing?
Does not require playing more Seasoned Pyromancers. I'm also playing Blood Moons and Magus of the Moon, as I'm only playing cards that cost a single of green or black. So I can fetch, and I'm playing so many fetch lands that I can fetch those basics out early if I want to.
I can see how you're fetching around your own Blood Moons, and I can absolutely see why you wouldn't play Liliana's with a Blood Moon plan. But I'm not convinced that the payoff for Blood Moon right now is that high. With the increase in snow decks and just a lot of decks running more basics, I'm not sure that Blood Moon is as potent as it was, 5 months ago.
I think that's fair. I like this plan a little bit better against decks like Tron than to have a bunch of Fulminator mages. I'd rather drop a Blood Moon against Amulet Titan or Tron than a Fulminator mage.
That's legitimate.
And that's generally kind of the trade-off that you're making for most people. I mean, you could just hope to dodge those matchups.
Blue cards, Mountain.
but I've just found that I'd rather have the more impactful card and just have not found that Liliana is particularly good in the meta currently. But again, it's an unpopular opinion, and I am very open to being wrong.
Your point about Blood Moon is well taken, depending on how you feel about those matchups specifically.
Also not keeping.
Chat, pretty anti-Liliana in the Phoenix matchup. Again, lines up pretty differently when you have an ensnaring bridge, which is pretty much how I want to interact with combat in general. Quentin taking a mulligan here. Maybe his second.
I'm glad we get to go to a game 3 on this match.
Yeah.
I really like seeing this matchup.
There's a lot of play.
I still have to continue to remind myself that I'm supposed to draw 7 cards. It's like, it's still
I know,
very
I do,
actively
yeah.
in my mind.
Like, here's 6 cards. And the other one.
Yeah.
Quentin. I like this style. Oh, mull to 4.
Good luck. Wait.
Give pre-game effects?
No, I don't. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Serum Visions.
Okay. This is how it starts.
Bolt and Tarn. Hurtin' for land. Tops the Tarn. 2 Thing in the Ice. Aria. Ugh. All the payoffs. Thing in the Ice, Thought Scour, Aria. Land on top.
So this choice is just extremely dependent on what Matt has in hand. I don't think you take a redundant Thing in the Ice unless you have answers to both the Aria and the other thing.
Absolutely. Also, he knows that Quentin topped 1 off the Serum Visions. He has to assume that Quentin is hitting 2 land. There's no reason for Quentin to top anything but a land.
I think I'm inclined to take the Aria here. Okay.
He takes Thing in the Ice. So
I guess-
presumably he has his answers lined up.
Yeah, it is. It truly is very dependent on Matt's hand.
Quentin snaps the fetch land straight to the graveyard. Picks up a land cast, Thing in the Ice, and pass.
Looks like it's a fetch shock on Quentin's side.
Really aggressive with the shocks.
Yeah,
Though he didn't have a red source otherwise.
right. With this low of an amount of resources, I think it's probably worth it just to maximize his speed here.
Absolutely, and he's still holding Thing and Scour. So
Correct.
if he pulls a mountain, this still works.
Or he's actually holding Aria, Flame, and Scour as Matt,
Oh, right, he took the second thing.
Matt took the second thing. Yeah, Rembu, I like that line. If Matt had surgical, that would have been a sweet line. Definitely signaling that he probably does not have it.
All about the information game. Nothing like thoughts easing into multiple cards and then just... It's so mean. Delightful. Alright. What do we got? Fetch and Tarmogoyf.
Good.
Goyf is a 3-4.
So it looks like Matt has a Scooz in hand as well. This would lead me to believe that he does not have an answer to that Thing in the Ice. Or he's hedging that for sure Quentin's not going to be able to flip it this turn.
There's the odds that he can flip it are very low.
Certainly.
Here's Fiery Islet. Help Quentin hit a land drop.
But I think if Matt had a removal spell, he's up on so many cards in hand that I don't think he would need to play this game quickly and try and get in damage fast. I think he could pretty much happily be on the Jund him out plan.
Though he could also be betting that Quentin can't flip Thing this turn and have Quentin spend a lot of cantrips trying to get it down to 1 counter, fatal push it, spend a lot of resources that you can't then later spend on that Aria.
It's fair.
We'll see what he's got, though. I see a bolt. Bolt isn't enough. Rip versus Jund. Seems excessive.
I haven't known actually what to think about that. I actually think it might be better than people give it credit for, as like Jund players, or at least my experience is you don't side out that many Tarmogoyfs. And if Rest in Peaks makes Tarmogoyf a 0-1 for the rest of the game, that's actually one of your like pretty premier threats. So it's possible that it might actually be better than people are giving it credit for being.
Interesting. All right, here's Arya Flame. Tapping down for that means no flipping thing in the ice. Tarmogoyf was free and clear to attack. Presumably will be for a while. Yeah, the addition of Ren and 6 to Jund justifies it, I think, a lot more than prior.
Yeah, there's enough splash hate. Because Ren is essentially does nothing but ping for 1 damage if you have a Rest in Peace out.
Yikes. Not good enough there. All right. Here's Tarmogoyf getting in. Would you like to take 4? Yes. 12. We missed some damage off the eyelet.
Yeah, I thought I heard Quentin said he went to 8.
I heard that too.
Maybe missed the attack last turn.
He's taken 8 off a Goyf, a Fetch Shock, and at least 1 eyelet tap. Which would, yeah, be 8. That makes sense. 1 eyelet tap, Fetch Shock, and 2 hits with a Goyf.
Yeah, thanks. I think it's good to know all those cards. Rest in Peace in a number of decks also has a negative effect on its own deck. So, for example, blue-white control, it makes Snapcaster worse. So I think you have to kind of balance that out a bit when you're playing it. But if it's all upside for you to be playing Rest in Peace in the matchup, then I agree with you that there are quite a few things that it hits, and it's probably worth bringing in at least a copy.
Opt. Scry 1.
Notably, Aria of Flame cannot hit creatures. It can hit planeswalkers and players. So Quentin is sitting at a low life total and will probably have to find an answer for this Tarmogoyf unless he can just straight up go off next turn to kill Matt.
I think he's trying to figure out if that answer's on top of the library or not. It may or may not be. He thinks it might be. Saheeli.
I'd say it's a good answer to the Goyf if he can play a spell to get a chump blocker.
Yeah. No spells to follow.
Trophy Saheeli again.
Goodbye, Saheeli.
Interesting. I think I would have trophied the Aria.
I would have trophied the area. I believe. Does Matt still have a bolt in hand? I would have bolted
He does,
Saheeli.
doesn't he? So he's got lethal.
Bolt. Yeah. Oh, here we go.
So Matt's line makes way more sense.
Oh.
Good call, Matt.
I'm not supposed to keep digging there, right?
Supposed to what?
I'm not supposed
And
to
that
keep digging, right?
gives the match to Jund over Phoenix. Overall, in general, how do you feel about that matchup? I mean,
Jund.
Other than being really interesting to watch and play, who do you think is favored there?
I don't think I've played the matchup enough times to have a great idea. I think the more copies of Nile's Spellbomb, I think game 1 is a big deal. So
Yeah.
if you're playing Jund and you hit your copy of Nile's Spellbomb and you're able to line things up decently against Phoenix, I like the matchup in game 1. And then I think it's also just as fine post-board. But I bet it's fairly close. I mean, there are very few matchups with Jund that you're like, oh, yeah, I'm extremely favored or extremely unfavored.
Yeah, it's one of those 45-55
yeah.
decks.
Love it. You gotta love it.
I guess. I don't know. I'm more of a fan of the, like, you know what, I'll just eat that matchup. It's fine. I'll lose to Burn. It's fine.
It's probably the better choice. I mean, if you
I don't know,
actually
I-
want to spike an event, I think it's the much better choice
I think statistically it is, but
to play it the way that you're talking about. But I think when you're just a, when you're just a little FNM or a little occasional Monday night grinder, you just play to have some 55-45 games.
I mean, you never have a matchup that you just sit down and you go, well, I guess this is happening.
Yeah.
Um,